Hi, welcome back to Hannity. We are continuing to monitor the war in Israel with Hamas here for a Hannity exclusive interview, her first since the terror attacks this past weekend. Former Secretary of State, current director of the Hoover Institution, and by the way, a member of Augusta, of which I'm very jealous, Condoleezza Rice is with us. Dr. Rice, great to have you. I've not seen you in a long time. I know
It has been a long time, Sean. Good to be with you.
Great to have you, as usual. You know a lot about terror. You know, when you extrapolate out, I've been trying to give perspective as to how big this attack was. Over 1,200 dead Israelis as of now, and there probably will be more by the time the count is full and complete. And when you extrapolate that out and you look at the Israeli population and you apply that same percentage to the U.S. population, it'd be the equivalent of losing over 37,000 Americans in a single day. We lost 2,977 people on a day you know well, 9/11/01. And the magnitude of that, I don't know if people understand it around the world. What does it mean to you?
Well, the magnitude of it is extraordinary. And I've said to people, Sean, yes, there are the lives that were lost in that way, but it would be as if the terrorists then went into small New York towns and slaughtered people up close, that they exterminated people, that they cut off the heads of babies. The scale of this brutality and this barbarity is something that we really haven't seen in a very, very long time. And I think you have to look at both sides of it. The loss of life is horrendous, but what the people of Israel are feeling in terms of the shock of what this was like, I just can't even imagine it, even after having been myself the National Security Advisor on September 11th.
Are you as shocked as I am at the level of anti-Semitism that we've seen both around the world, on our own college campuses and cities and towns across this country? Did you ever think you'd see people in Australia saying, gas the Jews, F the Jews, or have, tomorrow a day of jihad all over the world, which should scare anybody in any city that would be a target? Pretty frightening times, yeah. Madam Secretary.
It is, and I'm shocked by it, and I'm saddened by it, Sean, because anti-Semitism, look, is always just beneath the surface in a lot of places. I did a lot of work with the Anti-Defamation League when I was secretary. I spoke at a couple of events that they had, and this kind of hatred is something that I am afraid has been a part of the fabric, unfortunately, of civilized places for a long time. And so, yes, I'm saddened, but I also am hopeful that there are voices that are speaking strongly about the hate that this is, that are speaking about and condemning this terrorist attack. And that's what it was. It's a brutal terrorist attack of the kind that we haven't seen since perhaps ISIS was roaming around the Middle East. And so, yes, it's sad. I do think it's an opportunity in places like our own universities to say to our students, take the time to understand this conflict in the Middle East, understand that Israelis have tried to help Palestinians to a two-state solution, and a lot of decent Palestinians have tried to. And every time we've gotten close to peace, Hamas and Hezbollah and Palestinian Islamic Jihad have done something to dash the hopes of innocent Palestinians. And so these are not the liberators of the Palestinian people. These are the oppressors of the Palestinian people. And these, of course, are the barbarians who attacked the Israelis.
What do you make of the reports, Wall Street Journal and many other sources, and even Hamas and Hezbollah leaders themselves admitting that Iran's involvement in this? Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terror. To me,
yes.
I think they've got to be held accountable. To me, that would mean military action in this sense, and I'm not saying necessarily even by the United States, taking out their refineries, because that is the source of their income to fund terror. And number two, we know where these nuclear facilities are. And if there is ever a marriage between the radical mullah's ideology and weapons of mass destruction, I believe they would use them. But these sites where we know are located, deep buried underground, it would be a very difficult military mission to take them out. But I think the world has to, at some point, probably soon, take them out. Your reaction?
Well, I would start by saying that, yes, Iran, a state sponsor of terrorism, bears some responsibility for what has happened. I know there are questions about how directly were they involved, but, you know, we know that Iran is the primary funder of of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. They are the trainer of these groups. And, of course, they were celebrating in Tehran when this happened. The question of what we do more broadly about Iran, I think, is an important one. For starts, let's not go back to the pretense that we can have an agreement with the Iranians about their nuclear facilities. Let's not go back to the place where we're releasing funding to the Iranian mullahs who then just use that funding for Hezbollah and Hamas. That would be a good start. And let's try again to isolate the Iranians in the way that we had earlier in the Bush administration and in the Trump administration. The idea that you can deal with the Iranians, you might find reasonable ways to deal with the Iranians. It seems to me that this is just one more example, what we've seen over this last few days, that the Iranians are a revisionist power. They are the most dangerous power in the region. And oh, by the way, Sean, we gave up military facilities in Afghanistan, a country that has a hundreds-long kilometer border with Iran. That was a mistake in its own right. And so how to deal with Iran, I think it starts with isolating them. I think it starts with what actually the Biden administration has done. I think sending the carrier battle groups into the region is a good idea. But this should really erase any notion that the Iranian regime can be dealt with.
Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, has been way too long. Great to have you back. Good to see you. Thank you for being with us.